All right, so we're taking a look at exercise 17. This is from chapter 8. So we have chapter 8, exercise 17. So when you're reading through the problem, it gives you all of the information that you need. It tells you what your purchase price was. So you might want to make a box of just all of the information that you know you're going to need to book depreciation. So the original purchase price was $30,000. They tell us that let's see, the machine has estimated useful life of 7 years. So useful life, and this is in years, is 7. They tell us useful life in units is 114,800. And then it tells us that they do have a salvage value. So it's how much they'll get back at the end of the life. Salvage value is $1,300. Okay, so when we look at what they're looking for us to do, the first is straight line. The straight line method. And they want us to calculate this for 2 years. So when you're looking at this, you have to take the purchase price here, 30,000. We've got 30,000. And you have to subtract the salvage value, so don't forget about the salvage value down here. So you've got the salvage value of 1,300. Okay. And then you're going to divide it by, that's not multiply. We're going to divide it by the useful life, the 7 years. So we have the 7-year useful life. So that comes out to 4,100 per year. So this is going to be exactly the same for year 1 and year 2. Okay, so this $4,100 is going to be your depreciation expense and get booked to your accumulated depreciation. So don't forget these entries. You have depreciation expense of the 4,100, and then the credit is to the accumulated depreciation of 4,100. Okay, so that's the first method. That's what we went over in class. Now the second method is the double declining. When I was doing this in class, I think I just wasn't explaining it correctly. I think I was saying that you needed to multiply. I'm not exactly sure. I think I had said something wrong there. So the way you should be solving for this double declining is first to take the total purchase price. And in double declining, we don't calculate the salvage value until the very end. So you have to take the 30,000, and then you're going to multiply it by taking whatever percent the life was. So if it's a 7-year life, we're going to divide it by the 100% to get the 7 years in a percent, which is kind of what we do, when you're dividing this by 7, it's just the full 7-year straight line. But here we're getting a percent of the total. Okay, so if you divide 7 by 100, let's see. When you're entering it into your calculator, make sure to do 100 into 7. You should get 14.2 38.29, and this is a percent. So what we're saying here is 7 years is the depreciation over the full life, let's say 100. So under straight line, 14.29% is being depreciated. All right, so again, we're saying that based on the straight line, 14.29% would be depreciated each year. Now under double declining, we have to multiply that by 2. So when you multiply it by 2, you get 28.58%. And this is what we're going to multiply by the purchase price. So when you do the 30,000 by the 28.58, let's do that out, just times 30. Remember, it's a percentage. 1.2858 times 30. You should get 85.74. So that's your straight line. That's your depreciation expense for the year. So you'd plug this into that entry where you're hitting depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation. Now, when you look at year 2, what it's requiring you to do is to subtract, and my rounding might be off a little bit. I think in Cengage it might be 8,571. So just be careful with the rounding with Cengage. I know it can be a little bit tricky. But now, if you take the purchase price of the 30,000, and what it's requesting is that you subtract out the total accumulated depreciation. So this is the amount that sits in accumulated depreciation from the last year. So we have 8,574, and again, I think Cengage says 71. You're going to take this. Get rid of that. You're going to take this, and like I said in class, multiply it by the same rate. I think I was just telling you to divide the wrong thing. So by this same rate should give you 6122. So remember, this is year 2 and this is year 1. Okay? So I'm going to flip to another slide to go over the units. Now for the third approach that's asking you to do the unit of activity method, here we have to take, so here we are including the salvage value, so we have the 30,000 purchase price minus the salvage value of 1,300. So you have to take that and divide it by the total life, but it's in units. So it's the 114,800. So what they're saying is after 114,800 units are produced, basically they say the machine won't be useful anymore. So the life is this 114,800 units. So when you divide that out, it tells us that per unit you're going to depreciate 0.25 per unit. So when you look, it tells us in the first year, year 1, they produced 15,500 units, and in year 2 they produced 16,200 units. We have to divide those units by the percent that is going to be depreciated per unit. So simply multiply that out. So you're going to get 3875 in year 1 and 4,050 in year 2. Okay, so hopefully you find that this walkthrough useful. And remember, it's straight line, double declining, balance, in units of activities method. Those are the three approaches that we're discussing in this class. I will have a heavy focus on the straight line, as that's used in most businesses, but you also need to know how to calculate these other two methods as well.